want you to think. DuckQuote is basing everything that it gives you on what you've built out in the design tab and the center lines that you create to tell it where the duct goes. All right. This is actually what makes DuckQuote so fast and easy, is that all you have to do is draw a line between one point and the next. So you draw the center line and DuckQuote is going to fill in the duct and or the fittings based on what you've got in the design tab and what you're doing. Okay. So here we had someone who was looking for a Y branch, a pair of pants Ys. So they drew out until they hit where they wanted to have the trunks that left and went out to the various machines. And then they drew straight from the end over. And then they called me up and said, there's a problem. It keeps giving me a double branch. Okay, now, so the first thing that you want to ask yourself is, okay, I'm not getting what I expect, so let's pretend that it's my fault. So what did I do wrong from the point of view of DuckQuote, right? So ask yourself, did you draw the center line of a Y branch, or did you draw the center line of something else? Well, if I were to extend this out, you can see that, yes, in fact, that is a double branch that we've got drawn there, okay? We are using the default 45-degree branch with 45-degree elbows to give you this cross section there, okay? We can also say that we're looking at this, and if I change what this is being told over here, where it is looking at a double branch, you can also see that this is also obviously the center lines for a T branch, right? But what we know for a fact is those center lines don't define a Y branch, okay? So most folks ask the question at this point, they understand, okay, the center lines aren't right. So how do I fix this? Well, what we do is we use the ability in DuckQuote to move the endpoint of a section, not the section. And we're going to back these endpoints up to give us room to finish what we really want. Okay, so I'm going to click that endpoint and push this back some. I'm going to click that endpoint and bring it back some. And then finally, I'm going to click that endpoint and move it back some. All right. So remember, we're fixing something. So here's what I would do. I'm going to actually draw my Y branch over here, and this will teach you how to do it right the first time. You're going to come with your trunk to the end, then you're going to draw from that. I'm going to use a 45-degree Y branch. So I'm going to say I'm going to turn this at 45 degrees, and we click there. Don't get excited about the fact that it gave you something different. I'm drawing with a different diameter than the trunk. So DuckQuote is making an assumption. That's okay. We're going to come over here and we're going to click and we're going to do the same thing for the other side. Okay. And now sometimes I have to select, but sometimes clicking on it is all I need to do. As you can see now, DuckQuote recognizes those center lines define a Y branch, okay? So we can see that on this side, we want that Y branch to be a 6-inch. So I'm gonna set this side to be not 4, but 6, okay? This side needs to be 4. So we're gonna set that side to 4, all right? And now I'm going to draw a small bit so that it represents this and this trunks. In other words, I'm going to do this so that I get my elbows in here, okay? So let's go ahead and draw the 6-inch side. We don't need much, just a little. And I'm going to go ahead and remember this side is the 4. So we're going to draw a little bit of 4-inch. Okay. And what I wanted to happen has, and that is that I'm being told these are too short to include the elbows. So we're going to go ahead and let DuckQuote fix that so that we get just the Y branch and the elbow. That's all we want. Okay. Now, in this particular case, notice because we need a reducer here, and the reason DuckQuote puts a reducer here is that going from an 8 to a 4 is more than 2 sizes. And simply put, we cannot get the cones correct to fit and weld if we are more than 2 sizes off on these branches. So we get a 6 to a 4 reducer, okay? All right, now I'm going to back this one up just a little bit more because we need it to be out of the way slightly. And here's how I get things set up. I first have to make a decision, which is easy in this case because I'm using a flex hose connection here. So I don't have to have this lined up perfectly here. We can move it a few inches off, but I'm going to take this Y branch and the elbows. I'm going to select it using the selection box tool. All right. And then all I'm going to do is move it down so that it is in line right there. You can see the snap happens. It's in line with this trunk. Okay. And then all I have to do is where I backed that off, I'm going to bring it forward again. And we get back our Y branch. This is now lined up so I can trim that off and I can bring this back, let it connect, and that side is ready to go. Now what about this side? Well, this is as short as we can have this. So what I'm going to do, again, we're going to bring this over to where it's even with that. Trim that little piece off. I'm going to double click, which selects the whole section there. Then I'm just going to nudge it over and let it connect. And there we have fixed and have the Y branch that we want. Okay. All right. So we showed you how to do it right the first time. We showed you how to correct it, and we showed you how to figure out how it had gone wrong. All right. So that's hopefully covered Y branches.